I just poured one bucket of water into the dry dirt hole. Yet I obtained an infinite water source that will never run dry. Then I casually scattered seeds onto the barren land. Yet I immediately harvested a mountain of piled-up food. This action was seen by a little boy passing by. The boy thought I was a fairy, so he knelt down and begged me to save his mother. I saw that the boy was filial, so I told him to go prepare a cow, because in Minecraft, cow's milk can remove all negative status effects. Thank you so much, Fairy Boss. I will definitely find a cow for you. Do you need anything else? Just call me Brother Tran. Do you have any thread at home? I want to make a fishing rod. Yes, no problem. But Brother Tran, all the nearby rivers have dried up. Where do you plan to go fishing? I glanced at the small puddle, then gave a confident smile. Rest assured, even if there are no fish there, I can still catch them. After saying goodbye to me, the boy straightaway ran like the wind back home, only to be beaten half to death by his biological father, Vong Dayu. You brat, instead of helping with the work, you are running around. Your mother is very sick, don't you know that? The boy was beaten and felt incredibly wronged. He hurriedly cried out, Father, stop hitting me. I found a way to save Mother. The surrounding atmosphere immediately seemed to freeze. Who told you that? Brother Tran, who lives in the forest, said so. He said he just needs one cow, and he has a way to cure Mother's illness. Unexpectedly, upon hearing this news, Vong Dayu was not only unhappy, but on the contrary, he squatted down sadly, saying it's because Father is useless. I have no way to cure your mother's illness, and now I can't even protect you anymore. In this year of famine, how could there be someone living in such a desolate and wild place? He thought that the boy must have surely encountered a monster. Katang looked worried, but didn't know how to explain. Brother Tran is a good person. He only asked me to bring a spool of thread over. But Vong Dayu clearly did not listen to a word of it. On the contrary, he picked up the only two remaining hens in the house. Then he said to Katang decisively, You are still young. The road of life ahead is still very long. Later, Father will personally go meet that monster. In the future, our family will rely entirely on you. Meanwhile, I had just woken up on the wooden plank. Sleeping was really too uncomfortable. I don't know when I will get a sheep. Covering myself with a layer of sheep's wool would be much more comfortable. I walked to the door, stepped on the pressure plate, and the wooden door opened automatically. Catching my eye was the tree planted a few days ago. It had already grown into a huge tree. I rubbed my hands together, reaching out into the air. A stone axe immediately appeared in my loosely clenched hand. Let's start working. Let's begin preparing to chop the tree. Each block of wood was directly absorbed into my spatial inventory. At this time, Katang's voice echoed from afar. Brother Tran, I brought the thread you needed here. Saying that, Katang shyly scratched his head. My father was worried about me, so he also followed along. At this moment, Vong Dayu widened his eyes and stared at the side of the house. That was actually a golden wheat field. How could there be ripe wheat in this season? He was very afraid, but he still tried to appear calm. Holding up the hens he brought with both hands, his tone was respectful. Young Master Tran, this lowly one begs to use my own life to exchange for my son's life. Please consider these two hens as a token of apology for disturbing your peaceful cultivation. I was a bit confused. Didn't you say you needed my help to save someone? How did I suddenly become the bad guy here? Katang hurriedly stepped forward to explain. My father considers you a man-eating monster. He won't believe anything I say. Father says I have been bewitched by you. Hearing this, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Uncle Vong, please rest assured. I bear no ill will towards Katang. The matter I promised will not change. You just need to bring Annie and the cow to my place. Seeing Vong Dayu still had a look of shock and suspicion. After thinking for a moment, an idea suddenly popped into my mind. Let me borrow these two hens for a moment. It just so happens I could do an experiment. Brother Tran, why are you destroying these wheat plants? Katang watched me walk into the field, destroying two wheat plants that hadn't fully grown yet. He felt incredibly heartbroken. It's fine. My wheat seeds have another use. Under Vong Dayu's astonished gaze, the wheat seeds on the ground swooshed and flew into the palm of my hand. After that, the two hens suddenly became excited. Their eyes stared intently at the seeds in my hand. I smiled confidently. Facing the two hens, I silently chanted in my head, "Feed." The next second, Vong Daiyu's pupils suddenly dilated. He shouted in shock, "How is this possible?" Ka Tang was also so agitated that he was speechless. I only saw the two hens getting closer to each other. Less than 3 seconds later, a baby chick with soft, downy feathers suddenly appeared. "How about it, Uncle Vong? A monster couldn't do this, right?" Vong Daiyu's brain was already paralyzed. You must know that these are two hens, yet they could still produce a chick. Moreover, that chick seemed to appear out of thin air. It didn't even have an egg-laying process. This is something only a fairy could do. I'm done for. I'm done for. To think I actually considered a fairy as a monster. Vong Daiyu's legs went soft. With a thud, he knelt down on the ground. He even directly kowtowed repeatedly. This lowly one did not know the immortal lord had descended to the mortal realm, and even regarded the immortal lord as a monster. "Please, immortal lord, do not blame me." I was startled. I hurriedly reached out my hand to help Vong Daiyu up. "Hey, don't. Please don't. Uncle Vong, don't do this. I am not some immortal. Just an ordinary Steve." But obviously Vong Dai, you didn't know what a Steve was. He just kept kneeling on the ground. He turned his head and scolded Ka Tang. "You brat, why aren't you kneeling down and bowing to the immortal lord?" I was momentarily speechless. I hurriedly changed the subject. "Whenever you are free, bring sister-in-law here. Since she has a serious illness, it's best not to drag it out any longer." Tomorrow. Does immortal Lord Tran have time? Only the village chief's house still has a cow. Just call me Steve. Yes, immortal Lord Tran. Or whatever. You can call me whatever you want. I looked at Vong Daiyu's respectful demeanor. I felt completely helpless. But you don't need to buy a cow. Just borrowing one is fine. My method won't harm the cow. Yes, great immortal lord. Suddenly Vong Daiyu became awkward. He spoke up somewhat embarrassedly. This lowly one still has a favor to ask. The immortal lord living in seclusion alone deep in the mountains must have many inconveniences. I wonder if you could let Ka Tang stay by your side to serve you? Hearing these words, Ka Tang immediately knelt down in front of me. He is willing to stay and act as a servant for you. I furrowed my brows in thought. Right now, I possess the traits of the MC world. I no longer need to worry about food and water. But because my level is not high enough, I am restricted by an invisible wall. Trading items with the villagers on this small hill is not convenient. Furthermore, helping these miserable villagers is also the right thing to do. So I smiled and said, "Let's forget about servants and the like, but I do indeed need a helper. Ka Tang can just be my little brother, helping me run errands." "Thank you for your great grace, immortal Lord Tran. This lowly one will take his leave now," Vong Daiyu said while clasping his hands together and slowly stepping backwards. He walked straight until he was far enough that he could no longer see me. Vong Daiyu only then felt a burden lifted and breathed a sigh of relief. After that, the corners of his mouth couldn't help but curl up. His wife is saved, and his son even took a fairy as his boss. So wonderful, their footsteps were light. They chatted and laughed happily all the way back home. I placed a spool of thread and the wooden sticks on the crafting table, and just like that, a fishing rod was created. I cast the line straight into the small puddle, and it wasn't long before there was movement. Got a bite. I reeled in the fishing rod, and to my surprise, it was a tuna. Sure enough, as long as there is water, you can fish. So from now on, I can comfortably eat fish. Who knows, if I'm lucky, I might even catch an enchanted book. I cast the line time and time again, happy and untiring, on Vong Daiyu's side. He encountered a difficult problem to solve. You said you too met a fairy in the forest, and you even have to use a cow to cure the illness. Village Chief Vong Bao too frowned and stroked his beard, clearly not really believing Vong Daiyu's words. Reporting to the village chief, right now in the village, only your house still has a buffalo. I beg you, uncle, please let me borrow it for one day. If that's really not possible, I can even buy it. I will use my family's plot of land to trade for it. Sigh. Daiyu, my boy, it's not that I don't want to lend it to you, but it's because I'm afraid you are being deceived by someone. Vong Bao too let out a sigh. If Vong Daiyu wanted to use the buffalo to exchange for money to invite a doctor, then he would have lent it immediately without a second word. But Vong Daiyu insisted on using the buffalo to cure his wife's illness, and moreover, getting her treated by some fairy? How could this be possible? How about this, Daiyu? I can lend you the buffalo, but tomorrow I must go with you. Wait until Vong Daiyu left. Vong Bao Tu's face immediately darkened, and he immediately called his son over. The matter is roughly like that. Did you hear clearly? The strong young man nodded, rolling up his sleeves, his face full of murderous intent. I don't know which bastard dared to come to our Vong family village to swindle like this. Early tomorrow morning, I will go there immediately, drag him out first, and then we'll see. Vong Bao Tu nodded. The father and son finished discussing their plan, just waiting until early tomorrow morning to capture that hateful swindler. Who would have expected that very night? Vong Daiyu's wife suddenly became critical. Knock, knock, knock. The sound of urgent knocking on the door rang out. The village chief had just opened the door when he saw Ka Tang. Why are you here so early? The sky hasn't even fully brightened yet. Ka Tang panted heavily, speaking urgently. My mother's forehead is as hot as fire. Her whole body is delirious and talking nonsense continuously. My father told me to come call you urgently. We must go to Brother Tran's place right away. Hearing this, the village chief immediately woke up from his sleep. No, we must quickly go invite the local doctor. Village chief, we don't need to find a doctor. We need the cow. It has come to this. Why do you still believe that swindler? Your father was already confused. Why are you also being foolish like him? Brother Tran, he can really do it. I beg you, village chief, please let us borrow the cow. Seeing Ka Tang about to choke back sobs, Vong Bao Tu couldn't conveniently say anything more. He had to set off with Ka Tang. Look there, that's great, Brother Tran is still not asleep. It seems he is still fishing. Fishing? Vong Bao Tu's head was full of questions. The rivers around here have all dried up. Where would there be any fish? Following the direction Ka Tang pointed, I was sitting fishing in front of a small puddle, but in that puddle there clearly wasn't a single fish. I knew this was a swindler. A feeling of helplessness and disappointment rose in Vong Bao Tu's heart. This era is truly beyond remedy. Right at this moment, a bizarre thing happened. Only hearing a swoosh, a large fish 1/2 meter long was hooked up. After that, it turned into a golden streak of light, then was stored straight into my inventory, disappearing into thin air. Vong Bao Tu witnessed this miraculous scene, his heart pounding. Could it be that there are truly fairies in this world? Vong Bao Tu stood to the side, feeling extremely heartbroken. His expressions were all taken in by my eyes. But right now, saving someone is the most important. I held up the empty bucket in my hand. Facing the old yellow cow, I silently chanted in my heart, milk. Milky white, fresh milk gushed out from the bottom, and in the blink of an eye, the iron bucket was completely full. Vong Bao Tu and everyone were stunned. This cow of his was a bull. I used a wooden bowl to scoop out a bowl of milk from the bucket. All right, next you just need to let your wife drink this entire bowl of milk, and her illness can be cured. Hearing that, Vong Daiyu gently placed his wife, Deep Lan, down on the ground, carefully and meticulously bringing the bowl of milk to Deep Lan's mouth. The stream of milk followed the edge of the bowl and automatically flowed into her mouth. A miraculous thing happened. Deep Lan's complexion actually became rosy again, visibly to the naked eye. In the end, her complexion was even better than the people next to her. Vong Daiyu was even healthier and rosier than when her whole body had completely recovered. The sleepiness from several sleepless nights rushed into Deep Lan's brain. She tried her best to open her eyes and said to me gratefully, "Thank you, immortal Lord Tran. It's a small matter, no need to be polite." I also gave a satisfied smile. The next second, Deep Lan tilted her head, her whole body sinking into sleep. "Honey, what's wrong?" "Honey?" Vong Daiyu looked worried. "Immortal Lord Tran, how's my wife now?" "Rest assured, her illness is cured. She's just too tired, so she went to sleep." I silently breathed a sigh of relief, considering that I had saved a life. Everyone showed joyful expressions. Only Vong Bao Tu had blank eyes, staring blankly at the puddle of water. As the village chief, he knew the current situation of Lu Jia village better than anyone else. Just a week ago, the underground water source of Lu Jia village had already dried up. The well in the village that used to be bottomless now only had a shallow layer of water left. These past few days, even just the domestic water for the villagers was not enough, let alone using it to irrigate the crops. Yet this puddle of water in front of him was freely drawn from by immortal Lord Tran. It did not diminish in the slightest. This matter was truly too miraculous. Vong Bao Tu carefully and cautiously reached out his hand, gently dipping it into the water. The soft feeling of the water spread across his wrinkled hand. Without hesitation, he cupped a handful of water and brought it to his mouth. A sweet taste like spring water instantly filled his mouth. This is truly life-saving water. It's good water that can be both drunk and used for irrigation. The crops in the village are saved. At this moment, Vong Bao Tu completely believed that the youth in front of him was a true fairy. But how should he open his mouth to speak to this fairy? "Old gentleman, are you Ka Tang's grandfather?" Seeing me initiate a conversation with him, Vong Bao Tu was so excited that his eyes turned red. This lowly one is not Ka Tang's grandfather. I am the village chief of Vong family village. After saying that, Vong Bao Tu immediately bent his knees and knelt down. This lowly one Vong Bao Tu pays respects to the immortal. Why does everyone have to kneel down like this when they see me? I had to hurriedly help Vong Bao Tu up. "Old gentleman, please get up quickly. I am just an ordinary Steve." But Vong Bao Tu still wore a terrified expression, his body trembling like a leaf, especially his right leg, which was trembling violently. It seemed he might be suffering from some unspeakable illness. Seeing that, I took out a few more buckets of milk and told everyone present to drink it all. "How do you feel?" "I feel my whole body is much lighter." "Me too, my leg is cured." Vong Bao Tu was incredibly overjoyed. He was getting old, and whenever the weather changed, his thighs would ache so much that he couldn't walk. Even in the early morning, just encountering a bit of cold wind would cause a dull ache. Yet now he didn't feel anything anymore. "Thank you, immortal Lord Tran, for bestowing the medicine." Vong Bao Tu knew I didn't like others kneeling and bowing to me. So he just clasped his hands and bowed to express his gratitude. It's a small matter. Village chief doesn't need to mind it. Yet Vong Bao Tu lowered his head even further. He hesitated for a moment, then mustered all his courage to say, "Immortal Lord Tran, this lowly one presumes to ask a favor of you. Is it about the water source?" Actually, I already knew the villagers were lacking water. I originally intended to lend a helping hand. I didn't expect the village chief to mention it first. That is exactly the matter. This lowly one is truly out of options. This place hasn't had a drop of rain in 3 months. The fields have completely dried up. I don't dare to beg for the immortal lord's immortal water. I only hope the immortal lord can put in a good word with the Dragon King. This is also what I'm about to do. Everyone follow me. I led a group of people towards Lu Jia village. It's almost at the limit. I silently calculated in my heart. These past few days, thanks to farming and fishing, I have received quite a bit of experience points. Right now, I have reached level 8, and my range of activity has expanded to near Lu Jia village. Finally, I walked in front of the invisible wall and stopped. All right, this is the place. I dug a hole first, then poured 2 buckets of water on both sides. And so an infinite water source was created. Please, village chief, inform the villagers. Just tell them to come here to get water. Vong Bao Tu looked at the water source that kept flowing endlessly, grinning from ear to ear, although he still didn't understand how it was obtained. But thinking that this was the magic of a fairy, he didn't pay it any mind. It would be strange if he actually understood it. Aren't you going to visit our village to take a look? Ka Tang was a bit disappointed seeing that I was about to return. I also really want to go, but conditions don't permit it. Immortal Lord, could it be that you have some difficulties? Vong Bao Tu also asked cautiously. I thought for a moment. Anyway, it's not a secret. I might as well demonstrate it once, so I stepped out of the invisible wall. At this moment, the surroundings suddenly began to shake violently. The sudden earthquake made Vong Bao Tu stagger and almost fall. Right after that, he saw a scene that he would never forget in his entire life. The clear and bright sky actually developed black cracks. Those cracks were jagged like a spider web, stretching endlessly and continuously growing larger. Oh my God, Goddess Niwa, do you see this? The sky is about to collapse. Vong Bao Tu was so scared his legs went completely limp, sitting flat on the ground. Immortal Lord, the sky is about to collapse. We know the consequences now. Please go back quickly. I hurriedly retreated inside the wall. The scene of the collapsing sky immediately disappeared without a trace. On the way back to the village, Vong Bao Tu didn't say a word, like a person who lost his soul. Everything that just happened felt like a dream. Immortals actually truly exist. That heaven-destroying, earth-shattering scene kept lingering in his mind. He finally understood the underlying difficulties, why immortals were not seen coming to save them before. The realms of immortals and mortals are different. Even a strong person like Immortal Lord Tran here, descending from the heavens, would also have to endure enormous restrictions, and it could even lead to the destruction of the world. Perhaps the act of Immortal Lord Tran descending from heaven itself already came at a very steep price. Immortal Lord Tran is truly a good fairy. Carrying a shocked state of mind, Vong Bao Tu walked to the front of his house. But a piece of news that his daughter-in-law told him scared him so much he almost fainted. His son was holding a stick going to find the swindler. Vong Bao Tu was so scared he coughed continuously. His back broke out in a cold sweat. The bowl in his hand was unsteady and fell to the ground. "Oh, you old man, why are you so careless? Are you hurt anywhere?" The old woman asked him with concern. How could he pay attention to anything else? He panicked and ran out of the main gate like the wind. "You're out, father. Look at the stick in my hand here. I guarantee I will beat that swindler until he cries for his parents." "Father." Vong Bao Tu jumped up and slapped the back of his neck. "Why did you hit me, father? Aren't we going to beat up the swindler?" The muscular man spoke up, his face full of grievance. "Unfilial son, you unfilial son." Vong Bao Tu slapped his neck 2 more times. After that, he panicked and bowed in the direction where I was standing. "Immortal Lord, please do not punish us. Please do not punish us." Seeing the sky remain calm and the earth peaceful, Vong Bao Tu felt a bit more at ease in his heart. "Let's just let this matter pass. In a moment, you guys go call all the villagers here. Just say there is an extremely important matter to tell them." At the entrance of Lujia village, the sun was scorching high above. A group of men was squatting on some rocks. Around them, several shovels were thrown randomly. This damn weather is hot enough to kill someone. One of them couldn't hold it back anymore and stood up. He couldn't help but turn to the village chief and complain. "I say, village chief, you called everyone out here. What on earth is the matter?" Seeing someone step up and speak, the people around also chimed in agreement. Vong Bao Tu still sat there with a calm expression. Taking out his pipe, he took a drag of tobacco, leisurely blew out a smoke ring, and said, "This is indeed great news. Originally, I had to wait until everyone was present before saying it." Vong Bao Tu stroked his thick beard. "However, it's not like I can't reveal a little bit." Everyone immediately gathered around. "What's the matter? Village chief, don't beat around the bush anymore. Tell us, so we can hear it." Vong Bao Tu said, "Right now, what is it that we lack the most?" "Water." Everyone shouted in unison. They excitedly squeezed closer to the village chief. All right. What a commotion. Everyone go back to your seats and wait quietly." Vong Bao Tu had to endure spit flying everywhere from all directions. Wiping the spittle off his face, seeing that neither hard nor soft approaches worked on Vong Bao Tu, they sighed and groaned while dispersing. "What else can we do now? We have to wait." About 10 minutes later, seeing that the villagers had all arrived, Vong Bao Tu put his pipe away. "Just go straight in this direction, and walk a little bit more and you'll be there. Whoever can't wait can just go first." Vong Bao Tu had just finished speaking. A few figures couldn't wait any longer, and hurriedly dashed away. "Water, there's really water here. Ha, the water is so sweet." They rushed to the water source, excitedly cupping water in their hands to drink. Some people felt they hadn't quenched their thirst enough, and even dunked their whole heads down to drink their fill. At the same time, Ka Tang asked in astonishment, "Boss, do you mean ever since we left, I have just been sitting here fishing? It's a pity that the things caught were not fish, but useless rubbish." I yawned out of habit. "Sorry, boss. My mother just recovered from severe illness. It was inconvenient for me to leave. If I had known, I would have come earlier, making you fish alone for so long." In his heart, Ka Tang felt extremely guilty. I thought it was some huge matter. If you had come looking for me that early, I would have had to chase you back to your mother. My face was full of black lines. I waved my hands, pretending to look disgusted. "Anyway, you don't need to mind this matter." "Well then, give us a try. Does the size fit?" As I spoke, I took out the leather boots and handed them to Ka Tang. Boss, you are so awesome." Ka Tang couldn't help but exclaim. "This is the first time I've seen shoes being fished out of the water. It's ordinary. It's just a trait of the world." I smiled awkwardly, "So don't just stand there in a daze. Put them on and try them." I changed the subject. "Yes," Ka Tang nodded. He looked at the leather boots. They were clearly bigger than his feet, a whole size larger. Without any hesitation, he took off his grass shoes. After slipping into the leather boots, those boots began to shrink visibly to the naked eye, until they perfectly fit Ka Tang's foot size. "Boss, these boots can actually shrink." Ka Tang stood up, rolling his ankles, waiting until Ka Tang's excitement subsided a bit. I then continued, "Stop playing around. This item is yours now. When you get home, you can try it out however you want. Put the boots on." "Yes, boss." Ka Tang bounced up from the ground. The flush on his face from the excitement just now hadn't faded yet. His face was full of enthusiasm. "What should we do next? Did you bring a knife?" I asked while staring at the basket on Ka Tang's back. "Yes." "Use that knife to slash your arm. Use just enough force to scratch the skin." Ka Tang didn't hesitate at all, taking a stance to slash his left arm. Right before I left the house, didn't I just sharpen the knife? Even chopping wood is so easy, why couldn't it cut through? Seeing that his left arm didn't have the slightest change, Ka Tang doubtfully raised his knife. "Really strange. The blade wasn't bent or chipped at all. Is it because I used too little force? Could it be because of the boots the boss gave me? After all, even their size could change, let alone helping me block a knife strike. But if it's really because of these boots, I'm wearing them on my feet, how could they block that knife strike of mine?" Ka Tang couldn't figure it out no matter how hard he thought. "Try it again, just increase the force a bit more," I commanded while stroking my chin. Yes. This time Ka Tang used almost half of his strength, slashing his arm. A white mark appeared when the blade touched the skin. It's certain now the armor stats of this equipment can take effect on another person's entire body. The value has increased a lot. As long as I can craft leather armor, I will have 3.5 defense points. At that time, swords and blades will probably be completely unable to deal damage to my villagers. It seems these armor points are quite useful. So from now on, any boots caught should be kept. They can be given to others as gifts, I thought to myself. Ka Tang stood nearby, his face complex. Sure enough, it really was thanks to these boots. How are these ordinary boots? They are clearly what the elders in the village talked about, a defensive immortal artifact, magic treasure. This item is much more precious than he imagined. Am I really worthy of this divine artifact? Ka Tang thought to himself, just staring intently at those divine leather boots and feeling happy. "Hey, I'm telling you in advance, I'm a neat freak." My voice rang out. Ka Tang raised his head. He saw that I had come back to my senses at some unknown point and was tilting my head, smiling faintly while looking at him. "You have already worn these boots. If you return them to me now, I will throw them back into that pond. Consider returning the item to its original owner." I helplessly spread my hands. "Besides, it seems you misunderstood one thing, Ka Tang." I stepped forward, rubbed Ka Tang's head, and said seriously, "To me, your position in my heart is much more important than you imagine. After all, I don't want the first little brother I just took in to inexplicably be wiped out in a senseless way by some random mob passing by. I'm still waiting for you to serve tea, pour water, run errands, and empty the chamber pot for me." I rubbed so hard that Ka Tang's whole body swayed along. Ka Tang was so touched that he was speechless. This is the first time someone treated him so well besides his parents. His eyes welled up with tears, unable to speak. It's roughly like that. Later on, I still have to give you a whole set. If you get so sappy like this every time, be careful. I might really let you experience what it's like to practice a water landing from a height of 10,000 miles. One more thing. Now that there's water, wash your hair more diligently. My hand is full of oil from touching it. It can even be used for stir-frying now. Ka Tang nervously raised his head and peeked at me. As if having a premonition, I looked over and winked. Tidy yourself up a bit. Who knows, maybe some young lady will take a liking to you. By then you'll have a wife, and it'll feel a bit more comfortable for me to touch too. That's great. The boss isn't angry. Ka Tang breathed a sigh of relief. His face flushed red with embarrassment, and he mumbled a reply, "I know, boss. This axe is for you." Next, what you need to do is very simple. Just chop that tree down. I pulled out the stone axe and handed it to Ka Tang, then took 2 steps back. Then, "Boss, maybe you should stand a bit further away," Ka Tang suggested, "lest the tree falls on you later." Haha, rest assured, this tree probably won't fall down. And even if it does fall, at most it will just knock me back, losing 1 or 2 health bars. It's a small matter. I shook my head, acting like I didn't care. Besides, what if this tree falls on your small frame? But I don't want to fall on you, boss. Relax, nothing will happen. Don't forget, I'm not an ordinary person. This tree is not worth mentioning to me. You just focus on chopping the tree. Only then did Ka Tang feel relieved, making his chops. I am conducting an extremely important experiment. These MC tools in my hand, besides me, can others use them? Will they become weaker at all, or will their use have certain limits? For example, having to meet some condition to be able to use them. Take the current armor as an example. It's certain that its effect is almost identical to the game, providing full-body defense capabilities. This determines my future development plan. After all, if I want to expand the scale of farming, relying on myself alone is completely insufficient. Just feeding about 100 people is enough to exhaust me to death. First of all, the most important thing is food. For animal husbandry, the number of breeding stock must be increased first. As for farming, the number of seeds is insufficient, and there is a certain growth cycle. Therefore, at the present time, the easiest source of food to obtain is fishing. Thus, among all the experiments, I plan to test the fishing rod last. That way there will be enough time, lest a fish bites the hook, and they end the experiment prematurely. Getting wrong results at that time would be disastrous. Next, the best scenario is this tree gets chopped in half and drops a block of raw wood. Slightly worse is that there are no wood blocks, only the tree trunk floating in midair. As for the worst scenario, even inside my world, the rules of the real world must still be obeyed. Meaning half of my expectations have failed. Boss, I chopped the tree down. Ka Tang's face was full of joy. He excitedly looked towards me. Seeing my pensive expression, he asked cautiously, "Did I do something wrong?" "No, you did very well. It's just that the result wasn't what I expected. But this is not something you could decide either, so you don't need to blame yourself." I nodded, then handed him the stone shovel. "Next, use this to try digging some dirt." Next, the two took turns testing the stone pickaxe, stone hoe, then tried planting seeds and fishing in the 3 blocks of water. They all failed. It's very clear the plan to let the villagers farm by themselves is temporarily bankrupt. Perhaps I have to wait until my world expands to the village for there to be a change. But that's a matter for later. With the remaining time, let's see if fishing works. I handed the fishing rod to Ka Tang and told him to try fishing in the water. To increase the probability of catching a fish, I even expanded the water pond to twice its size. If this experiment can succeed, even if it takes a lot of time, it will be extremely worthwhile. This means that the food problem has been solved. By then, I just need to craft enough fishing rods and distribute them to the villagers, letting them fish by themselves. I lay lazily on the pile of leaves, crossing my legs, bored to death. I sat up, and gnawed on an apple. Although I didn't have shears and couldn't get leaf blocks, I could still use my hands to pick leaves. A person can't be so rigid. But I must admit, this apple is really delicious and quite big too. Taking the last bite, I casually threw the apple core aside. I stood up, looking at Ka Tang's back as he still sat upright by the water. I sighed. Sigh. Sure enough, it still doesn't work. Although I don't have a clock and don't know exactly what time it is, judging from the sun's trajectory, 5 to 6 hours have already passed. I really admire Ka Tang for being so persistent for so long. If it were me having to sit idly by the water like that, even if there was no movement for just half an hour, I would have already lifted the fishing rod to see what's wrong, then cast the line again. All right, Ka Tang, reel in the fishing rod, no need to fish anymore. I walked over to persuade him. Ka Tang's eyes still steadfastly stared at the bobber, which was gently swaying. Boss, I can still fish for a little while longer. Who knows, it might succeed. Isn't it just a matter of time? I can endure it. Hand the fishing rod over to me. Seeing my resolute attitude, Ka Tang could only disappointedly hand over the fishing rod. There's still another thing to try. I took out the composter. This is something I accidentally discovered in the crafting table before. Out of curiosity, I used 7 wooden slabs to craft it. Through my research, I discovered that the main function of the composter is turning crops and plants into bone meal. I've tried it. You can directly put uprooted grass or leaves inside. It's just that the efficiency is very low. Instead of spending free time putting plants inside, it's more practical to go catch a few more fish. But in this situation, if Ka Tang can use it, it wouldn't be bad either. Next, go around and pull some grass, then throw it in a try. I ordered. Under the expectant gazes of the two of us, the grass fell into the composter, and in the blink of an eye, it disappeared. At the bottom, a few green particles appeared. Keep putting more in, my voice was a bit excited. Finally found something usable. As plants were put in, the compost layer kept rising, finally turning into a block that looked like gray dirt. Boss, I can't put any more in, Ka Tang said. Next, if used again, the block inside can be turned into bone meal. But this step, Ka Tang seemed unable to do. Try seeing if you can pour this block out. Ka Tang used all of his strength, but couldn't move the composter full of fertilizer even an inch. I can't, it's too heavy. Ka Tang panted as he spoke. Is that so? Then let it be. Although the result isn't very ideal, at least there's a backup plan, right? With the composter, I can let the villagers use bone meal to exchange for food, which can also be considered as solving the food problem. I looked at the sky, then said to Ka Tang, it's getting late. But listen, this grilled fish is very delicious. Especially the fish skin, it's absolutely fantastic. I took the grilled fish out of my backpack and enthusiastically stuffed them into the basket. Boss, that's too much. Don't stuff anymore. If we can't finish eating it, it will spoil. Moreover, boss, I can't carry it all back. You have a point, it is indeed a bit too much. I looked at Ka Tang's physique, and then looked at the basket stuffed full in front of me. It was almost piled up to a peak. Carrying it back will probably be quite strenuous. What now? I took out a portion of the grilled fish and asked. Ka Tang put the basket on his back and tested the weight, then nodded. It's somewhat manageable now. There are also these 2 apples. One is for your younger sister. I took out 2 more apples. How about I give you 2 more? Enough, boss. I really can't pack anymore. Ka Tang hurriedly waved his hands in refusal. All right then. I felt a bit regretful and put away the apples I had just taken out. Oh, right, about that water source. Has your village chief told the villagers yet? I asked curiously. He has. When I came here, I still saw many people getting water there. Then I must go over there and take a look. I've been in this world for many days now. The only people I've seen are the village chief and Ka Tang's family. Ka Tang, let me walk you for a distance. Boss, I can walk by myself. The heaven collapsing and earth-cracking scene from that day reappeared in Ka Tang's mind. Seeing Ka Tang's frightened face, I knew perfectly well what he was thinking. Relax, I'll just walk you to the water source. I won't go far. On the small path, holding wheat seeds in my hand, I leisurely strolled in the forest, whistling with my mouth. Behind me, The two hens flapped their wings, waddling after me, their eyes glued tightly to the wheat seeds. "Hey, Ka Tang, you don't need to keep staring at those two hens. Don't worry, they won't run away," I said to Ka Tang, as he kept turning his head back every now and then, worried that the hens would run away. Besides, if you don't look back, who knows, a moment later there might be 2 or 3 more. It might even be wild chickens. "Boss, just leave these 2 hens at your place. Don't you still need them to hatch chicks?" "No need. I just need to hatch 2, and that's enough. These chickens grow very fast. In less than 2 to 3 days, they'll be fully grown and able to hatch chicks. Furthermore, your mother just recovered from her illness. Take these 2 hens back. The eggs they lay can also be used to nourish your mother." Ka Tang awkwardly scratched his head. He mumbled, "My family doesn't eat these chicken eggs. We have to wait until we collect a certain amount first. My father will take them to town to sell for money. My mother wouldn't bear to eat them either. Even if they are boiled, she would still leave them for my father. If the eggshells are broken, father would still leave them for us." However, right at this moment, I heard a commotion coming from ahead. So lively, humans are after all pack animals. I haven't seen through the mortal realm, so naturally I like lively places a bit. Hearing the noise, I couldn't help but walk faster. When I arrived, the scene that caught my eye made my brain freeze instantly. Good heavens, what is this situation? The crowd was divided into 2 groups. One group was mainly old people and children. Under the guidance of an old woman, a densely packed crowd was kneeling and bowing on the ground. Facing towards me, in front of them were a few sticks of incense, displaying chicken and tofu, along with some fruits I didn't know the names of, their mouths murmuring prayers. The other group consisted of men, led by Vong Bao Tu. That group of men only had a few people, and their expressions were extremely unnatural, looking like they wanted to blend in with the kneeling crowd. What's worth mentioning is that Liu KY was also kneeling with them. As for the big guy Liu Bin, he stood behind his father. And Vong Bao Tu was extremely conspicuous, standing to the side with a world-weary look of having nothing left to live for. I already said Immortal Lord Tran doesn't like others kneeling and bowing. Why don't you people listen? Thanks to my enhanced hearing, I understood the words Vong Bao Tu said and could also roughly guess the whole story. These people are treating me as a fairy to worship. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I myself have knelt to my ancestors since childhood. I didn't expect that even before I died, someone would already be burning incense for me. Why do I feel like someone is looking at me? Sensing something, Vong Bao Tu raised his head. His eyes met mine. At this time, I was so shocked by the scene before me that I was speechless. A dumbfounded expression, but in Vong Bao Tu's eyes, the immortal Lord Tran, who was originally amiable and approachable now, had no expression. It was clear that he was dissatisfied in his heart. "Oh my God, Mother, immortal Lord Tran can indeed see this. Isn't this him coming over? Look at immortal Lord Tran's expression. Could it be that he is angry with me?" The immortal Lord said he doesn't like others kneeling. Yet I didn't do my job well. What if because of this, the immortal Lord returns to heaven? Then I would be the sinner of Lu Jia village. Anyway, thinking about it, he has only met me once. He is not as familiar with my personality as Ka Tang is. That is a deity from heaven. The things to note that he instructed a village chief like me. As a result, I failed to do them well, and even made the immortal Lord show up in person. I heard that when the emperor gets angry, millions of heads fall, but if the immortal Lord gets angry, he could destroy the whole world. Vong Bao Tu only felt his vision darken, about to fall backwards. Finally, under the pressure from everyone, he couldn't care about anything else. He knelt down on the ground. Commoner Vong Bao Tu respectfully welcomes the immortal Lord. The fairy in the mountains has come out. Hearing Vong Bao Tu's words, the people who were kneeling and bowing were startled, hurriedly pressing their heads tightly to the ground. There were also bolder people who secretly raised their heads to take a peek, then hurriedly lowered their heads again. Is that the immortal Lord? Why does he look even younger than my son? His appearance is quite handsome. It's just that he doesn't look much like a fairy. An auntie among them saw my appearance. The reverence in her heart diminished by more than half, She lowered her head and whispered to the person next to her. The way I see it, he looks more like a young master from some rich family. Look at this scholarly aura. Could it be the Wenxiu star descending to Earth? Stop talking. The fairy is looking. We are so far away. He probably can't hear us, right? Sorry, I heard it crystal clear, just short of shouting straight into my ears. Inwardly sight. Village chief, I am really not any kind of fairy. You all don't need to kneel anymore. Everyone stand up. So he's not a fairy? Then should we kneel or stand here? The villagers looked at Vong Bao too, waiting for him to make a decision. As soon as he stood up, everyone else stood up too. When the villagers stood up, I subconsciously took a breath of cold air. Just now, when they were kneeling, their thin clothes hid their figures. Now that they just stood up, I saw it crystal clear. The villagers in front of me all had sallow faces and were skin and bones. Their legs were as skinny as firewood sticks. Looking through their unbuttoned collars, inside was almost just skin and bones. The ribs on their chests were clearly visible. You could count every single one. I even suspected that if the wind blew just a bit stronger, these people would be blown over instantly. Even though I had imagined the situation to be very serious, this scene was exactly like those people in war-torn African countries. This is exactly a famine. I quietly took out a wooden plank and placed it on the ground. Where was this wooden plank taken out from? The villagers saw the wooden plank suddenly appear out of thin air. The sound of discussion immediately vanished without a trace. That's right, he said he wasn't a fairy, so it turns out the fairy is just being humble. Why do we foolishly believe it? But at this moment, all the villagers remained silent, not daring to make the slightest sound. Their bodies subconsciously stiffened, standing straight. Under the scorching sun, sweat from their foreheads flowed into their eyes, but no one dared to raise a hand to wipe it. What does the immortal Lord want to do? Quickly setting up a 4-meter-wide platform, I asked Vong Bao Tu, village chief, let me ask a bit, roughly how many households are there in our village, and how many people in total? 14 households, 54 people in total. I took out 14 grilled fish from my inventory and placed them on the platform. They were all half-meter-long grilled fish, piling up the entire platform. It's fish, such huge fish. Ever since the lake dried up not long ago, they haven't seen fish for a very long time. Not even small fish the size of a finger. Suppressed gasps of astonishment echoed here and there. The villagers all swallowed their saliva, staring intently at the fish on the platform, and sank into their imagination. For these fish, just one is enough. If eaten sparingly, along with tree roots and wild vegetables and things, it's enough to eat for more than half a month. The kids at home could also eat some greasy food. I said, these fish are handed over to the village chief to distribute, ensuring every household gets one. In the coming days, every day at this time, I will place an equivalent amount of fish here. Are these all for us? Moreover, will you also give us food in the future? In other words, we will no longer lack food. At this moment, my voice sounded like a heavenly melody from above, touching everyone's hearts. They wanted to laugh and cry at the same time. But with a fairy standing nearby watching, they didn't want to lose their composure in front of Immortal Lord Tran, afraid that Immortal Lord Tran would abandon them because of it. Immortal Lord Tran, are these all for us? Right when everyone was immersed in joy, Vong Bao Tu stepped forward and asked. Right when I was about to say that these were given for free, and they didn't need to exchange anything for them, I saw the look of worry on Vong Bao Tu's face. Vong Bao Tu was afraid that, if the villagers got used to this situation of just reaching out for clothes and opening their mouth for food, one day their reverence for me would disappear. Once I stopped supplying, what I'd receive in return wouldn't be understanding, but mockery. I swallowed back the words I was about to say, thought for a moment, then shook my head and said, of course, this is only temporary, until your crops recover. I won't just give it to you for free either. I made 7 composters again and placed them in a row at the edge of the ground. From now on, what you need to do is use leaves and other plants to fill up these composters. Specifically how to do it, Ka Tang will tell you later. There's no need to do today's share of work. This place is already at the edge of my world, the surrounding weeds and leaves grow very fast. Collecting enough is still a very easy task. In this way, the bone meal produced can also be used to accelerate the production of enough wheat seeds. Wait until the range can cover the village. The seeds will also be almost enough to feed the people in the village. Regarding the request I made, the villagers were extremely grateful, tears welling up in their eyes. These are half-meter-long fish, let alone 7 composters. Even if it were twice as many, we would be willing. Thank you, immortal Lord. Thank you, immortal Lord. The villagers knelt down once again, kowtowing heavily towards me. The commotion was so loud that it startled a flock of small birds resting on the trees. I already said, I'm not a fairy. In my heart, I felt extremely helpless, feeling so awkward that my toes wanted to dig a hole in the ground to hide. I signaled Ka Tang to return, then I quietly returned to the forest alone. Looking at the teary and snotty appearance of the people in front of me, thinking about the hardships they had to endure, they also needed a place to vent their emotions. Wait until my figure left. The villagers' emotions could no longer be contained. The scene became extremely chaotic. Even Vong Bao too was shedding tears, immersed in memories. This is so great. We have food now. My kids finally won't have to suffer from hunger anymore. My second son, my fourth son, why was your fate so miserable? If only you could have held on a bit longer. You could have waited until the immortal Lord arrived. Some people danced with joy, continuously repeating their thanks to me. There were also some who were smiling and suddenly covered their faces and sobbed uncontrollably. Wait until the emotions were mostly vented. Vong Bao too was still not fully relieved. All right, folks, today is a great day of joy. Everyone quickly tidy up and get ready. Take these fish back and cook them. The kids at home are still waiting for us. For the next few days, I spent almost all day by the pond fishing. When the sun set, I brought the fish to the water source, collected the bone meal from the composters. After returning home in the evening, I used the bone meal to accelerate the wheat's growth, then harvested it, collecting the seeds and wheat, and most importantly, the experience points. Then at night, I continued to fish madly. Operating at such high intensity constantly, my experience points soared, and it wasn't long before I leveled up again. Moreover, the experience bar was already more than half full. Just one more level, and it would be able to cover the whole village. If my guess is correct, at the latest, it's just a matter of the next 2 to 3 days. Tell everyone not to panic. Just say it was my doing. I know, boss. Ka Tang looked at my tired face with a worried expression. These past few days, except for the beginning when I asked him to do a few things, saying it was for an experiment, after that I just sat by the river fishing all the time. Fishing like that for a whole day. The only thing he could do was quietly sit beside me, telling me some trivial things that happened in the village recently. The boss also tried to persuade him to leave, but he refused. Anyway, the only thing he could do for the boss now was just to keep him company and relieve his boredom. I nodded slightly, preparing to return to my little private box. Right now, I just want to quickly expand to the village. I can't help with anything right now. Maybe there's still a way. Ka Tang thought disappointedly to himself. He secretly made a decision, then ran back home. Under the eaves of the simple thatched cottage hung a few salted fish. Inside the house, the aroma of fish soup was still spreading. At this moment, Deep Lawn was busy preparing dinner. After leaving my place, they took Deep Lawn to the local doctor. The result was that her illness was completely cured. It's just that her body was still very weak. After recovering for a few days, Deep Lawn could already get out of bed. She originally intended to go straight to the fields to help, but because Vong Dayu insisted strongly, she only did a few simple household chores. Ka Tang glanced around, not seeing any sign of his father. At this time, father should have come back from working in the fields, right? Mother, father hasn't returned yet? Ka Tang asked in confusion. Your father? Not long after you left, he was called by Uncle Tu to the village chief's house to lend a hand. He hasn't come back yet. You should go over there and take a look. It's almost time for dinner. Why hasn't he returned yet? Approaching the gate of the village chief's house, Ka Tang immediately saw 1 or 2 people from the village, carrying furniture into the village chief's house. Inside, there was a hubbub of voices, and occasionally the sound of heavy furniture being moved echoed out. What's happening inside? Ka Tang wondered. The boy stepped through the door to take a look, only to see the uncles and aunts in the village almost all crammed into this tiny room. As for Vong Bao Tu, he was standing in the middle of the house, constantly directing. You have to move it a bit more to the left, a bit more to the right. All right, leave it like that. Village chief, what is everyone doing? If I'm not mistaken, isn't this chair your treasure? He treasures this chair very much. Why was it carried here? And this bowl too, village chief, did you make them take Meiji Zoya medicine? Nothing like that. How could I have such great ability? Vong Bao Tu smiled, walking to the door and touching the door frame, his eyes full of reluctance. I just discussed with Vong KY and the others. I will stay temporarily at their house first, to clean up this house for the Immortal Lord. Saving it for the boss? Ka Tang scratched his head in confusion. That's right, in this village, the only somewhat decent house is this old house of mine. If the Immortal Lord wants to come rest in our village, that's our blessing. How could we let the Immortal Lord stay with us? Unexpectedly, the news leaked out, so everyone brought their belongings here. But I understand the boss very well. He definitely won't stay here. Ka Tang shook his head and said frankly, if that's the case, I'm afraid this house will just be left vacant here. Vong Bao Tu said seriously, whether he stays or not is one thing, but whether we do it or not is another matter. Besides, the house is already cleared out. The folks' belongings have also been brought here. You can't possibly ask everyone to take them back. Ka Tang turned his head to look at everyone. They all smiled and shook their heads. The furniture is already brought here. I'm dead tired. I don't want to move it back. That's right, my mother even said that if I dared to sneak these things back home, she would break my legs. It's just a few pieces of wooden furniture. How can it compare to the Immortal Lord's grace? Don't you agree, folks? That's right, that's right. Oh my, I've been village chief for so long, but I've never seen everyone so proactive before. Normally, when asked to do a little something, you run faster than rabbits. Vong Bao Tu joked, and someone laughed along. Village chief, if you were even half as awesome as the Immortal Lord, you could tell me to do anything. Even cleaning the latrine for you would be fine. Everyone burst into laughter. Vong Bao Tu happily looked at the scene before him. This scene full of vitality. How many years has it been? Laughing and joking like this. All of this is thanks to the Immortal Lord. Ka Tang, you came looking for your father, right? He is in the back over there. Vong Bao Tu pointed in that direction, signaling Ka Tang to go over. Ka Tang, why are you here? It's getting dark. Mother told me to come call you home for dinner. Vong Daiyu raised his head to look at the sky, slapped his forehead. Oh no, I didn't pay attention to the time. Let's go, let's head home. I want to continue practicing martial arts. I want to protect the boss. Ka Tang said resolutely. Ever since the river dried up, the food in the village became less and less. To save food and reduce physical exertion, Ka Tang made excuses of losing interest to avoid practicing martial arts. Seeing his son willing to resume the practice, as a father, he was naturally happy. But why would a fairy need a bunch of mortals like them for protection? Vong Daiyu thought to himself, but he still nodded. All right, tomorrow we will start again. The next day, in Lu Jia village, a crowd gathered in the village, right in front of Vong Bao Tu's house. This person saying a sentence, that person saying a sentence, chattering noisily. You all mean that the people from Tranjia village ran over here to steal things? Vong Bao Tu frowned and asked doubtfully. That's right. Fortunately, old Tu's kid saw it. Otherwise, my 2 fish would have been stolen by that guy. The people around also chimed in with indignant expressions. The people of Tranjia village are bullying us too much. Usually fighting over land and water sources is one thing. Now they even dare to sneak straight into our village to steal things. That's right. These are the fish the Immortal Lord bestowed upon us. Although we got them back, we cannot just not vent this anger. Village chief, we must force Tranjia village to hand over that thief. At worst, we'll just fight them again. I'm still holding a belly full of anger from the last time. Village chief, say something. When exactly are we going to fight back? The people around were all filled with righteous indignation, looking as if they wanted to charge in and fight to the death. No need to go anywhere. They will come looking for us themselves. Vong Baotu thought for a moment, then slowly shook his head. Most people suddenly realized and understood the village chief's meaning. If the people of Trangia village arrive later, we will immediately come and inform you. Before that, absolutely do not have a conflict with them. Vong Baotu said. In his heart, he was a bit worried. After all, the grudge between the two villages was too deep. He was worried about the people in the village. Disclaimer: all content, characters, settings, and events are products of my imagination and were created for entertainment purposes only.